In this video, we'll talk about linear equations and then we'll go into table of values. But before we do that, we'll just need to talk a little bit about algebra and how sometimes a value can be represented by a symbol or a letter. So we have an expression here, 6 plus x, and we don't it's not an equation, it's just an expression right now. An equation would have an equal sign. And the unknown value that we have is x. And we can use anything, we can use any letter, and this is called a variable because it varies. We don't know what it is. But if we have an equation like 6 plus x equals 7, then we know what the value of x is. And the value of x in this case is going to be 1 because 6 plus 1 would be 7. But if you have an equation like x plus y equals 7, there are lots of values that you could fit in to make this a true equation. For example, you could have x could be 6 and y could be 1, and that would make it a true expression or a true equation. So just to review how to evaluate an expression, I'm just going to demonstrate a few things. So if we have an expression like 2 plus x, and we say x is equal to 4, then to evaluate it, we just substitute the value that we've given it for the x. So this expression would be evaluated as 6. If we said x is equal to 100, and then we evaluated that expression, we would have 2 plus 100 equals 202. Whoops, 102. So we just take the value that we give to x and we substitute it where x was to evaluate an expression. So again, if we have an expression like x plus y equals 10, and we are trying to find values for x and y, we can just begin making some up. So if I have 1 for x, then y is going to be equal to 9, and that's going to give us the correct value. What if I have 2 for x? Then what will I have for y? If you said 8, you're correct. And I could just keep doing this. What if I had 12 for x? What do I have to add to 12 to get 10? And if you said -2, that's correct. So there's a whole bunch of values that we could fit into x and y to make this expression or this equation correct. So in order to do that, we create a table, what we call a table of values, just to keep our stuff organized. So you create a table and you just start filling it in for the value of x and y. So in this column over here, I'm going to put a value for x. In this column, I'm going to put a value for y. So let's do it with the expression x plus y equals 6. Okay? If x is 1, y is going to be 5. If x is 2, y will be 4. And you would continue with your table this way, substituting any number you want for x and determining what the value of y would then be. So this is our table of values for this particular expression or equation up top here. So for this equation, this is our table of values. And you don't have to do them in any kind of sequence, but it does make it more organized. For example, if you had an expression like, or an equation such as x minus y equals 12, let's create our table of values. X, y. Let's choose something for y. What if we said y was 10? Something minus 10 is 12. Well, just doing a little bit of mathematics, I can figure out that the answer is going to be 22. What if y is 2? Something minus 2 is 12. Again, a little bit of math in my head, and I can figure out that this is going to be 14. So even though this is still a table of values here, It's not as organized as the one I did earlier. So usually we start with simple numbers like 1 or 2, and we don't try to get too complicated like this. But a table of values just has a few of the values that are going to fit for x and y.